Shalom, shalom. It's the sun seems like it's going down here on this side of Earth, right? So Shabbat shalom to all those that practice Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, even to even. We want to give all glory and honor to the Most High God by the way of His Son, who's an instrument of salvation for the nation. And this is Factual Friday. You know what I'm saying? It's Friday. So, hey, we made it through the week so far, the business week, the Babylonian week. I'm Azrael.
Brother Donald.
And from behind the camera, Brother Yeshaya.
Khan. So, we're not going to play with it. We're just going to get straight to it.
You want me to share my screen?
Yeah, you can. You can share the screen. This is going to be a lesson on pretty much free will. And do we have free will? Is free will a concept in the Bible? Is free will really free? You know what I'm saying? So, did you kick Yeshaya off or he went off?
He must have went off. Might be in the wrong screen. Hold up. Yeah, he went off.
Nah, he right there. He's still in the lobby. No, never mind. He's not there no more. But yeah, we can go ahead and start. Right? Because the point I want to make is none of us willed our way in anything. None of us even willed our way into the truth. You know what I'm saying? Even Christ taught that. Christ taught that he couldn't bring nobody into the truth out of his own will. You know, sometimes we want our own desires want us to, you know, bring people into this truth, and we'll have sleepless nights. We'll be restless, and we just want people to come into this truth because we know, like, this is salvation. This is truly freeing, right? But we can't will nobody into the truth, no matter how bad we want to. You know what I'm saying? And no matter what we do, everything is of the Most High God. So off rip, the concept of free will is not in the Bible. We see things like a free will offering, but besides free will offerings, you know, there's nothing about, you know, you can't make up your own path. You can't manifest your own destiny. You know what I'm saying? Now, the difference is you have free will and you have choices. That's why I said at the beginning, is free will really free? Because free will is not free. You know why? Because it's a choice. Let's get the definition of choice. Can you share the screen and go to Google and just type in choice? Choice, the definition for choice. Right? Can you read that?
Choice. An act of selecting or making a decision when faced with two or more possibilities.
Right. The act of selecting or making a decision. So scroll down. Click on more definitions for me. Right. All right. So, hey, that's cool. So the first definition was the what did it say?
An act of selecting or making a decision when faced with two or more possibilities.
Right. So everybody loves going to Deuteronomy, what is it, 10 and 12, where the Most High God is saying this is what he requires of us. Also, the Most High God repeatedly tells us to what? Choose life. So we all got to make a choice, but that doesn't mean that we have free will, because this is what comes with choices, right? Get the definition of consequence.
And if these aren't the exact definitions that you were thinking that they would be, it's probably because this is instead of micro.
It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It all goes together. So read that real quick.
Consequence, a result or effect of an action or a condition.
Right. So your result of your decision or your choice, right, is a consequence. Meaning, you know, if you have free will, there's no consequence. You don't have no consequence for free will because it's of your own free will. You know what I'm saying? But what we do have in life is choices to make, and those choices lead us to consequences. All right. So the concept of free will would be like I believe in Second Maccabees, when one of the sons was dying, he said, "Thou corrupt king, thou doest what thou wilt." But you think that our God is not with us, paraphrasing. But you know what I'm saying? That's what the world is. The world is full of free will. The world is full of I want to do what I want to do. The world is full of there's no consequences to your actions and to your decisions, right? But to the Most High God, there's always a consequence. It might come now, it might come later. But the Most High God said what? Though it tarry, wait, it will come. He tells us that in Ezekiel, right? So let's go to John 6:44. Started off with John 6:44. Because a lot of us, you know, a lot of people come at people in the truth or Hebrew Israelites and be like, those people are works-based faith. Those people have a works-based salvation. Those people are legalistic, right? So I just want to remind them that we believe this. We believe that, hey, it's not of us that we in this truth. It's not of us that we were awoken. It's not of us that we're no longer in slumber. It's all the Most High God's doing, right? John 6:44.
John 6:44. No man come to me except the Father which has sent me.
No man can come to me.
No man can come to me except the Father which has sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day.
Right. So Christ had a job. He knew his job well. And Christ's job was to raise them up at the last day. And he's supposed to be that shepherd, right? He's supposed to be there for when you come back. But the only person that can draw that sheep into that sheepfold or draw him towards that sheepfold is the Most High God, the Father. So even Christ knew that he can't make nobody do anything, right? And if he can't make nobody do anything, you for sure can't make yourself do nothing. But who does it? It says, but the Father which had sent me draws him or her. So the Father, right? And I learned this from the elder Uriah, you know, it's all of the Father. The Father draws you in. There's nothing that we can do. We have family members and friends we want to come into the truth. It's not, we don't even have free, we can't even will them into the truth. We can't will ourselves into the truth, right? But the Father draws them in, right? Let's get Romans 9:16. Right. And I want to say also shalom to everybody that's going to be watching this, everybody that might tune in, people that might watch this later on. I want to say shalom because, you know, especially today, and we said this last Sabbath, you could be doing anything, right? You could be partying. You could be at a hookah lounge. You could be playing dice, gambling, watching a sports game, out at a bar. You could be doing anything, but right now you are studying the words of the Most High God, right? And man should only live off the words that proceeded out of the mouth of God, not off bread, not off alcohol, not off weed, right? You're gonna live by these words, and that's a very what's the word I want to say? That's a very honorable thing for you to be doing on this Friday night during the summertime. And you know, even if you're not on this, I know brothers and sisters all over the world is tuning into other people's lives and studying amongst their own families. So, hey, shalom and peace to all those people that are seeking the Most High God. Right? Can you read this real quick, Baba Kasha?
Romans 9:16. So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but
Hold up,
of
stop
God.
right there. So it says, so if not of him that willeth. So immediately, this is where I go all the time when I'm in a conversation and people try to say, bro, we all got free will, right? I mean, God gave us free will. That's their thing. They love saying God gave us free will. God didn't give us free will. The Most High God gave us commandments. Commandments is the opposite of free will, right? People don't stop and think about that. Commandments is the opposite of free will. But people somehow have let, and I think it's Christianity or modern day Christianity, I know I talked to some older crowd of people, and they say, man, Christianity is nothing like it used to be. It used to be a lot more strict. People used to, actually take it serious. But nowadays, you know what I'm saying, these non-denominations, these mega churches, a lot of people get the impression that the word tells you that God gave us free will. It might be in some of these other translations or something, but commandments are different than free will. God gave us commandments, meaning you're supposed to do this, right? You don't have the option, right, of not doing it. If you don't do it, you have that consequence. And that consequence is the lake of fire and destruction. So it says, so then it's not of him that willeth. Off rip, it's not of your free will. Nothing that you do in life is of your own will. Can't manifest and pray to the universe. Can't do none of that. Or nor of him that runneth. So you can't run away from judgment. You can't run away from blessings. You can't run away from a situation if the Most High God wants you in that situation. It's not a free will, right? You'll watch these celebrities, you'll watch these artists, and they'll be like, bro, if you think you can be it, if you think you could be it, I just thought myself to be here and I'm here. That doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? The Most High God orders your steps. Now, everybody thinks of themselves in some type of light, whether it's good or bad, and everybody has tried to think it and you be it. It works for some, but some, it doesn't work. You know why? Because the Most High God wants you where he wants you. Now, you might have been on the same page with the Most High God, right? Or the Most High God might have gave you over to your evil thoughts. But at the end of the day, it's the Most High God that's drawing you in whichever direction you're going to, right? The last part says, but of God that showeth mercy. So it's the Most High God. Even if the Bible tells us all good things come from the Father. But you have to know this Bible to see if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because a gift could destroy your heart, right? But it says of God that showeth mercy. So we see here, it's nothing that you can do in your life to get blessings or curses. He makes it rain on the just and the unjust, but it's the Most High God's mercy at the end of the day, right? Did you have anything?
Just to, I guess, let me back on what you were saying about he gives us commandments, right? Like a fellow likes to tell us, man, there's levels to this, right? When you think about this word choice. If we can reminisce on the lesson that we had on last night, right? Let's take it back to where he read the handbook and it said that if you don't read this rule book, your head will be shaved, right? And he pretty much got mad. He said, man, this is BS, right? And then the drum major pretty much told him, hey, look, man, you don't have a choice, right? Either you do this or you get kicked off the team. And that's the same thing that the principles of the Bible speak of, right? We don't have a choice, right? Either you do this or you die. You know what I'm saying? It's not, and what the world has done is say, well, Brother Devin Miles had free will because he could have chose to walk away, right? But that's not what the Bible's principle of free will is, right? The principles is, hey, you do this, and if you don't, you get punished, right? It's a consequence. But just like the first example I used, and even like growing up, our parents and whatnot will tell you, hey, look, you don't have a choice, right? Either you do this or you do this. You don't have a choice. You're gonna do them dishes, right? And whether you like it or not, it's gonna get done, right? Whether you got to get spanked to do it, right? You don't have a choice. And it's the same thing with this truth, man. You don't have a choice. It's not a choice whether you want to keep these commandments or not, right? It's what's set before us that we have to do, and either you do it or you die.
So let's move on. You know what I'm saying? That's a good point. You know what I'm saying? Like we already said, you have consequences. And if you have consequences, it's not free will. For example, the only example of free will I can pull out of the Bible is a free will offering. And even in a free will offering, you're still held to a certain standard, right? Let's get just to prove that, let's get the 2
And
the
technically,
2 pence.
and technically, man, you got to look at the context of everything, right? Even if it says free will offering, right? Doesn't necessarily mean,
Mites.
you know what I'm saying, it's the free will that people like to resort to, right? Because we're required to give offerings to the Lord. We're required to give sacrifices, right? We're required to give our body as an offering, and our body as a sacrifice, right? And it's supposed to be free will, you know what I'm saying? But if we're required to do something, it can only be so much of our will, you know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Even our free will offerings have prerequisites. Our free will offerings have requirements, right? Let's go to Mark 12:42, just to prove that even free will offerings, have consequences. It's nothing in the Bible that doesn't have a consequence. There's no free will. We don't have free will. We have commandments. We got to do them. We have instructions. And he said, if you do these things, you'll live, right? Mark 12:42.
All right. Mark 12:42. And it reads, and there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing.
Keep reading.
43. And he called unto his disciples and saith unto them, verily I say unto you, that this poor widow has cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury.
Right. Keep reading.
Verse 44. All they did cast in of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living.
Right. So, hey, look, this is an example of somebody giving a free will offering, but it's received, right? Because not of, I think this free will saying is like how we used to say, come as you are, or only God can judge me. Right. And those things we realize when you come into the knowledge of the truth, that those things is wrong. Right. And we can put all that into the same box. It's called dogma. Right. And it's Christian dogma, meaning it's stuff that we're raised up to learn. It's stuff that we're taught. Right. And we don't question it. So that becomes dogma. It just becomes a normal. Right. And we think it's fact. Makes you think more. It's either live or die. The Bible is telling us you either live or die. There's no free will. If you want to live, you got to do this. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want to live, okay, do your own thing. But that's a choice. That's decision making. That's not free will, right? That's the point we're trying to get across. But if you keep reading on that story, there were people that didn't put all that they could. You know what I'm saying? Because at first, the free will offering is all that, you know what I'm saying, is on your heart to give. So this lady, she gave everything that she had because of the faith that she had. But there's some people that might want to get over on you. You know what I'm saying? That might want to get over on Christ just because they hear, oh, it's free will. And that's what we do as students. You know what I'm saying? That's what we do as people in this walk. We think just because we hear free will, which there's no free will in the Bible, just because we hear free will, though, now we can do what we want to do. Now we can live like the Nicolaitans mentioned in Revelation.
Right. That's a mighty point, man. If I could paint a picture real quick, right? Saying that there's free will. When you say that there's free will in the Bible, right? You're saying that you're pretty much putting yourself in God's position, right? And what I say by this is, if you got free will, that means you can control your outcome as well. Not only the decision that you're making, but you can decide whether you should have consequences or not, right? If there's free will, because if you got free will, That means it's an even playing field. You can do what you want to do, and it should be allowed. And that's a lot like America today, right? Where all these things where people are actually getting free will in America, right? Because they feel like they should be able to do something and not have a consequence for it, right? They feel like they should be able to do something and not get judged, right? But in the Bible, we don't see that, man. We got laws and commandments that are set before us, and that's the will of God. And there's nothing outside of the will of God. His will is the only thing that stands. And like the brother, or I think the brother right here, Henry, said, right, AJMC Henry said, it makes you think more, because whether you believe it or not, it's either you live or you die, right? You don't have a free will to do what you want and get to the kingdom as well, right? You can't just you don't have the free will to do what you want and receive blessings, right? You can't receive you can't have the free will to do what you want and think you're going to get a miracle without having faith that miracle is going to come to pass. Right? There's things that are required.
What was that? Mark 12?
Yeah.
Mark 12. I'm trying to get the opposite of the men that didn't give all that they had.
Is it in the same passage?
I thought so. Hold up.
Is it before the talks about the women?
I think so. If not, I got another example. I know it's in here. I don't know. We can go, but I got another example though. Here go another example. Another example is, let's see. Let's go to Hebrews 11:4.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, and verse 4. By faith, Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of his gifts, and by it he being dead yet speaketh.
Right. So he gave a more excellent sacrifice, and his sacrifice was received, but Cain's sacrifice was not received. Now they had the option to give their free will offering, meaning they could give whichever fruit they wanted, you know what I'm saying, whatever lamb they wanted, right? To the naked eye, that's free will. But how come Cain's wasn't received like Abel's was? Because Cain tried to get around. Some people get a little bit of leash and they hang themselves with it. You know, Abel, his faith, he was like the widow woman. He gave his 2 mites. He gave everything that he had because he had great faith and he knew where his blessings came from. But you got some people in this truth that think they have free will, and they'll end up being mad that they got punished for something they thought they was doing was right. Just like Cain. Cain said, well, you said it, it's free will. So I'm going to give you what I want and you should be happy. But that's not the case, because the Most High God saw the intentions of their heart, right? Let's get this real quick. Revelations 4:11.
Revelation 4 and verse 11. And it reads, Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and were created.
Right? So everything was created for the Lord's pleasure. Even if he causes you to sin, right? We see and we bring out all the time in Samuel, 2 Samuel, how he caused David to sin and number the people, but it's all for the Most High God's pleasure. He caused Pharaoh to harden his heart and sin against the children of God, but it's all
Same
for
thing
the Most High's pleasure.
Con.
You said
I
what?
was gonna say same thing what he's doing with Esau today, right? Just like he said, when he prophesied over Edom, that he would make Edom's heart wax cold and stubborn, just like Pharaoh.
Right. So everything for this same purpose. You know what I'm saying? You know, he's causing these people to do it. Why? For his pleasure. And it's tough to know that he's killing people for his own pleasure. It's tough to know that the Most High God is causing people to get robbed, causing people to get spoiled, causing people to go into slavery. But it's all for his pleasure. You know what I'm saying? And his pleasure is a deeper understanding than what we have. That's why he says, lean not to your own understanding. A lot of our people that believe in free will, believe in manifestation, they can't fathom a father or the Most High God sending his children into slavery. So they're done with the book. They won't even open the Bible because of just that thinking, right? But they don't understand that as a parent, you take pleasure in giving your children correction because you see you're prudent, right? What does prudent mean? You think ahead of the game. You think well to your goings. So as a parent, you love correction. You take pleasure in correction because you see your children down the line learning from this lesson, learning from this belt, learning from this rod of correction, right? And that's what the Most High God does. Even when he blesses us with blessings, right? It's all for his pleasure. He wants to see us happy, and he also wants to see us corrected. He wants to see us go through trials to see how tough we are, right? A lot of times when you are a coach, you in practice, you want to have a tough practice sometimes. Why? To see how much that your team can withstand, right? Adversity. Whether you're a track coach, you might see how hard you can push them on the track. Your football coach, you want to see how hard you can push them on the field. Basketball, you want to see how many suicides they can get at a certain time, right? You're doing all these things because you want to see your team succeed. You take pleasure in that. And we used to hate coaches. We used to look at coaches like, and it'd be some fat coaches sometimes. We used to look at coaches like, man, why is he doing that? Right? Why is he smiling over there? Why he get to drink his Gatorade and we're huffing and puffing, can't even get no water, right? Because they take pleasure in that. So the Most High God said he takes pleasure in that. He takes pleasure in seeing, and likewise too, coaches take pleasure in giving us those easy, fun practices, right? So everything, he makes it rain on the just and the unjust. You can't will yourself into victory, right? If we had that mindset that we willed ourselves into victory, the Most High God wouldn't be on our side. That's why over and over and over again, he said, no, you don't. He told Gideon, you don't need these men. Cut this in half, right? Because if you do it with this man, y'all going to think y'all did it on your own. You know what I'm saying? That's why he chooses certain rulers and leaders, because if he would have chosen a man that wasn't David, like Saul, you know, they might have attributed to their own will. Yeah, I conquered these battles. But he picked David because he know David is going to put him first and tell everybody, hey, look, it's not me. It's the Most High God. Just like Judith. Judith said, it's not me. The Most High God delivered the king of the king of the Assyrians into my hand. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Deborah. Deborah said, Most High God is going to what? Deliver the enemy into the hands of a woman. And we see Jael, you know, put the hammer to the head. So he chooses these people that's going to give him the credit because ultimately of our own. We don't have no free will. We can't go to the battle and win without him, right? Go ahead.
Exactly. That's a mighty point. And that's one of the reasons why he actually set forth Moses's judgment, his death, right? Because he took credit for something that it was the Most High's will to give them water out that rock. And he kind of took credit for that thing. He hit that thing and he says, do I have to do everything for y'all? And it wasn't even him doing it, right? And the Most High made it clear. He said, when you do this, when you give them water out this rock, make sure you tell them that it was from me, right? And he didn't listen. He took the credit for it. And Most High said, well, now you got to die, because you know what happens is you take credit for something. as big as a miracle, right? That you have no control over. Now God has to show you and show the people, hey, look, it's not because of him, and I'm gonna show you it's not because of him, because he can't even save his own life, because I'm gonna take it, and there's nothing he can do about it. Why? Because there's no free will.
Right, exactly. It's only choices, man. It's only decisions, right? Lead us not into temptation, right? Trying to figure out where the sister's going with that. Lead us not into temptation, right? That's why we got
saying. She's saying when we pray, we say, lead us not into temptation, and we're praying that God leads us not into temptation, because we can't lead ourselves into temptation. It's the Most High God drawing us to that temptation. To, you know what I'm saying? It's the Most High God leading us to our
I'll say this. The Most High God, he lets us be tried, but ultimately, you know, as the scripture says, the Most High God tempteth no man, but every man is tempted of his own lust, right? So it's our lust that tempts us, but the Most High God might put that object that make us lust. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, we're the ones, you know what I'm saying, paying attention to our lust. So that's why we got to pray, lead us not into temptation. You know what I'm saying?
Just like in Ecclesiasticus, where it says that wisdom will walk with us through crooked ways at first, right? Trying our reins, like you said. So wisdom is gonna walk with us through crooked ways, right? Just to see what we're gonna do. And it says at first she's gonna stick with us, right? To try to remind us. But then after, if we keep ignoring her, right, she'll lead us into our destruction, right? She'll give us over to our ruin. Right. And that's why we got to pray that she doesn't give us over to our ruin, even when we're being stubborn sometimes. Right.
Right.
Because it's either live or die.
Right. And like the brother said in the comment earlier, you know, it's life or death. You know what I'm saying? It's life or it's death at the end of the day. Let's go to Exodus 4:11. We was at Revelation 4:11. Let's go to Exodus 4:11.
You got the classics, right?
The classics.
I'm sure you got your favorite scripture in here.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, your favorite scripture.
Oh, you kind of chopping up.
Him who see my feed right now is I still sound bad.
You kind of chopping up. Hold up. Say something.
Hold on, let me. I think my Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I think my Wi-Fi is going in and out for some reason. You can still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you right now. You can go ahead and read.
Exodus 4:11. And the Lord said unto him, Who has made man's mouth, or who maketh the dumb or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I the Lord?
Right. So right here, you know, Moses was telling the Most High God, "Hey, look, I'm slow of speech. I can't speak for myself. How am I going to speak for the Most High God?" The Most High God had to remind him, who makes people deaf? You know, people that can't hear. Who makes people blind? People that can't see. Who makes these things? People dumb. People that can't speak. Right? He makes them all for his pleasure. Why? Because if these people weren't alive, Christ couldn't do the miracles that he did. The disciples couldn't do the miracles that they did. Moses couldn't do the miracles that he did. You know what I'm saying? So the Most High does this for his own pleasure. Yeah, it may seem, I can't hear what you're saying if you're talking. Oh, you must have muted. Yeah. But you know, yeah, it may seem hurtful, or yeah, it may seem like it's not fair, but the Most High God,
Wi-Fi.
You're not muted up. All right. But yeah, it might seem not fair, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's all the Most High God's pleasure, right? So Exodus 4:11 is backing up what Revelation 4:11 said, you know. And a lot of people in conversation, they'll be like, well, how's everybody gonna get the truth? Some people can't read, some people can't speak, some people can't teach, some people can't. But the Most High God said, hey, look, Don't worry about all that. I'm the one that made them that way, right? It's a bigger picture it's a method to the madness, right? Don't worry about all that, because guess what? If you was deaf all your life, the Most High God can make you hear. If you was blind all your life, the Most High God can heal your sight. He might put the right doctor in your path, the right physician, or he might just make you be able to see overnight. Somebody lay their hands over your eyes, right? But at the end of the day, if they're supposed to be in this truth, if they're supposed to come to Christ, if they're supposed to be an Israelite, right? The Most High God gonna call them. Just like we read that Christ said, it's not of me, but the Father who draws them, right? You have something to say?
Con. Hold on, let me try to pull it up real quick.
Right? And this just backs up also the precept that says, hey, look, and I feel like we're finna go there next. I think I got that on here next, but the Most High God, he do everything, right? He wills everything, right? If we had free will, we would be able to heal our own selves, right? If we had free will, we would be able to correct our own flaws and our own insecurities. The Most High God can, but we can't. You know what I'm saying? So the Most High God, and that's powerful in itself, because the teaching of the Most High God is he has free will. Meaning, is there unrighteousness with God? No. Why? Because he has true free will. Nobody has free will except for the Father. He can do what he wants, and there's no consequence. But we got to do the commandments, right? And that's how it's supposed to be taught. And if we lean to that knowledge, we'll understand the Most High God better, because he can do what he want to do, right? He's the author. He's the finisher. He's the Alpha and Omega. He's the director. He can do what he want to do.
I'll go to the G&T. I didn't really want to go to the G&T, but trying to figure out, man, what in the world, bro? Here we go. Because you mentioned if we were blind or if we were deaf, right? So I want to bring this out in the book of Ecclesiasticus, right? Verse 6 and verse 7, right? So this is Ecclesiasticus 17 and verse 6, right? And it reads, he gave them their tongues, their eyes, their ears, their minds, and their consciences, right? He filled them with knowledge and understanding and showed them the difference between good and evil, right? This is the reason why he gave us all these various things, right? That lead to our five senses, right? The tongue, the ears, right? The eyes, our minds, our consciences, right? Because if one is lacking, we have another one to pick up. And the verse 7 ties it all together, why he gave us all these things, right? So that we'll be able to obtain knowledge and understanding, right? Because there's no excuse why you shouldn't know what verse number 7 says at the conclusion, to show them the difference between good and evil. There should be no excuse why you don't know the difference between good and evil. That's why he gave you all of these senses, right? Because you can find a way, right? And if you can't find a way, best believe he's going to make a miracle. Like he says in the book of John, that some people were born with these defects just so the works of God, just for the will of God to be manifest, right? And so he gave us these senses. So if one is out, best believe another one is going to be there to pick up the slack.
Right. I want to give an example too of how we can't heal ourselves, right? A lot of people say, just think yourself to be this and you can be this. It all starts with the mind, right? And you have to have a level of faith. Don't get me wrong. You have to have a level of faith and spirituality, but nonetheless, that's not even enough for you to direct your own path, right? So I'm gonna get this real quick. Go to 2 Corinthians 12 and 8. Right? This is an example of how no matter how hard we pray or how hard we try or how we want to manifest something to be true, or to come to pass, we can't do it, right? Here's an example through the holy word, through the holy scriptures. And this is Paul speaking, right? And you chopping up bad. Yeah, you chopping up bad.
The Lord thrice.
Hold up. Read that again. You was chopping up. Yeah, you chopping up bad.
Might depart from me.
Hold up.
Slakia.
Okay, now.
Hold up. You can hear me now?
Con.
I had to switch my Wi-Fi over to a different one. So yeah, Con, this is 2 Corinthians 12:8. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me.
Right. So what is he talking about, right? Can you go to read full chapter? Right. Let's go to verse 6 or 7.
Verse 6. For thou I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool, for I will say the truth, but now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth me to be, or that he heareth of me. Verse 7. And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations. There was given to me a thorn in my flesh, in the flesh.
Okay, so check this out, right? Let's make this plain. Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, so let's make this plain, right? Verse 7 says, unless I should be exalted above measure. So right now, Paul is going through the reason why he's being afflicted, because he has to let people know, hey, look, I'm being afflicted, but I don't care. You know what I'm saying? There's a method behind the madness, right? I'm being afflicted, but it's for this reason. Because remember, like we said, everything is according to the Most High God's pleasure. Revelations 4:11, right? And also, like we just read, you know, who makes dumb? Exodus 4:11. Who makes dumb? Who makes deaf? Who makes the blind? So guess what? Any affliction or sickness that might come your way, it might come at a time where the Most High God is saying, hey, look, you was getting a little too high and mighty, right? You was feeling yourself too much, right? So let's keep reading from verse 7.
The messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure.
Right.
Verse number 8. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me.
Right. So he prayed. You know what I'm saying? He thought he was healthy, and he thought, you know what I'm saying, maybe I could just, you know, have faith and I'll be healthy. And I'll pray 3 times. The Most High God say, hey, 3 is it's not in the Bible, but if you are a studious person, you can catch the trend of the number 3, right? The number 3 is like a emphasis, right? You're emphasizing something when it's done 3 times. For example, with Eli, he called Eli the first time. He called Eli the second time. He called Salakia, not Eli, but Samuel. He called Samuel the 3rd time, and Eli said, hey, this is surely God, because he called you 3 times. Hey, ask him what he wants. The Most High God even says, I speak once, yea, twice, yet man doesn't perceive. So he got to say it that 3rd time, right? Just like Jonah was in the well for 3 days and 3 nights, Christ was in the belly of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. This emphasis, right? And a lot of times that emphasis is emphasizing something holy or set apart, right? So he went before the Lord 3 times, and we can see that 3 times being evening, noon, and night. We're supposed to pray at least 3 times a day.
Didn't David hide himself for 3 days?
Yeah, after the new moon. It was either Yeah. So check this out. It says, for this thing I besought the Lord thrice, 3 times, that it might depart from me. So that means he couldn't get it depart from himself. He knew that the only person that can get it to depart from him was the Most High God. But let's read verse 9.
Verse number 9. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness.
So that's
Mostly,
the reason,
most
right? So
gladly,
the reason,
therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power
right,
of Christ may rest upon me.
right. So guess what? Have a chip on your shoulder. Moses, you can't speak well? Let that be a chip on your shoulder and do the work of the Lord. That way people will look at you and be like, dang, that brother is mighty. The Lord is using that brother. Because the Lord is made perfect. Well, the Lord's strength is in our weakness, right? It's not about having thousands of men in the war. We only need 300 because we know if we win this war, it wasn't of us, it's the Most High God. So that weakness, right? Guess what? It's made strong in the Most High God, and that's how He like to operate. So
Con, and
sometimes,
when we try
yeah,
to overpower God, right? Then that's when, you know what I'm saying, our quote unquote strength, right? Instead of our weakness becomes our downfall, like we see with Moses, right? He instead of showing himself weak, he's trying to show himself mighty in front of all the congregation, right? And instead of the Most High God getting the praise, and instead of the Most High God, you know what I'm saying, honoring that, it was the opposite way. So just like it, our weakness shows his strength. Best believe if we try to muster up against the Most High, he's gonna have to muster up more, and his strength is gonna prevail over our strength. You know what I'm saying?
because He says if we exalt ourselves, we're gonna be abased. He's gonna bring us low, right?
He's
Because
running the show.
right, because he's like the brother just said, he running the show. You don't have free will. He got the free will. All right.
Con, did you have this preset, Austin? I mean, Azrael, I'll be
I mean,
tripping.
bring it out. I mean, whatever it is, you don't gotta ask if I got it. If you bring it out beforehand, that's the spirit. So go ahead and bring out what you're gonna bring out.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7 and verse 13. Did you have that one?
Nah, I didn't.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 13. Consider the work of God, for who can make that straight which he had made crooked? Right? And this just goes into free will again, right? It doesn't matter if you think you have the free will to do something, right? Once God has set forth creation, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no way around it. You you might take it upon your vain opinion to think something, right? But then that goes into who has turned the word of God into a lie, the truth of God into a lie, because there's no way around the truth. The truth is the truth. There's no way of getting around it, right? What He has set before us is what's gonna be until the end of eternity, right?
Con. Let's go to Revelation 3 and 8, just to piggyback off of what you just said, right? Because we can't make a crooked path straight, and we can't make a straight path crooked. Only the Most High God can, right? And if He want to reverse it, that's on Him. But we have no will to do that. We can't make a sin not a sin no more, right? And Paul can't make a sin not a sin no more. And Peter can't make a sin not a sin no more, right? No matter how mighty the person is, we can't reverse anything. If the Most High God said it's a sin and it's crooked, it's crooked. The Most High God said it's righteous, it's righteous. And a lot of people don't understand that. For example, Moses was never reprimanded when he killed those Egyptians for killing his brothers and his sisters, right? Because it was seen as a righteous act. He loved his brothers and his sisters. So he stood up for them, right? Which we should do instead of just taking out cameras and recording and
And we're
waiting for the
commanded to
police.
do that. It's the crazy
Right,
part.
right. You
We're
know what I'm
commanded to
saying?
do exactly what Moses did.
Right. To defend our brother, right? Defend a friend. And my thing is this. The Bible calls that righteous. But a lot of us, we don't see it as righteous because we've been tainted with the ideologies of captivity. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of us suffer from Stockholm, and a lot of us suffer from the Willie Lynch letter to this day. You know what I'm saying? And we have been controlled mentally. And I'll even say the brothers that you see before you right now, there's still stuff that we battle with from being conditioned in captivity. You know what I'm saying? Let's read this real quick, just to piggyback off what the brother said.
Con. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 3, and verse number 8. I know thy works. Behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. For
Right.
thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and has not denied my name.
So this is just an example of a door. So we talked about a crooked path and a straight path. Hey, there's some doors you can't open, and there's some doors that you can't shut. So a lot of us, we didn't call for a level of influence, but if the Most High God gave us influence, there's nothing we can do about it. You know what I'm saying? If the Most High God made you a ruler over the people, you can't do nothing about it, right? You just got to suck it up and take on that responsibility. The Most High God might have made you low. He might have made you just somebody that holds signs or pass out flyers. The Most High God might have made you somebody that's just supposed to take notes and just supposed to learn, right? But you, even though you want to be a mighty man, guess what? You're going to find your end, and you're going to have your consequence. You can't step out of the role that the Most High God wants you to be in, right? You can't become successful if the Most High God wants you low. You can't try to give away all your riches if the Most High God wants you to be wealthy. You know what I'm saying? Not that anybody would do that, but
free will, man. You can hear me? You can hear me? Free will, man. It's like playing a video game, man. If you ever played a video game, maybe like even Call of Duty. I haven't played Call of Duty in a long time. You know what I'm saying? But imagine you playing a video game and it's impossible to kill somebody that's on your team. You can shoot at them as much as you want to, right? But they're not gonna die, right? Why? Because you have no free will in the game. Because you might think you have free will in the game to do the X, Y, and Z, but to a certain extent, man, there's certain things that you just cannot do in that game, right? Because whoever's controlling that game is controlling the narrative. And this whole thing is like a simulation to the Most High God, right? And he's controlling the narrative, right? Who can make that straight crooked? Who can make that crooked straight, right? No matter how much you hate your teammate, if you're playing Call of Duty, you can't kill him. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same principles for life, because the Most High God's controlling the narrative, and there's just certain things that, you know what I'm saying, you can't change. We can't change homosexuality into being something good. You can't do it. You don't got the free will to say you want to be a homo and make it into the kingdom of heaven. It's not gonna happen.
Even with holidays, you can't say, well, I believe Christmas means this to me. You can't make it straight if the Most High God didn't make it straight. You can't make Easter straight if the Most High God didn't make it straight. You can't make these things that you think you make light of, like even Father's Day, Mother's Day. If the Most High God made them ordinary days, like it says in Sirach, you can't make these things up to what you want them to be. The Most High God has that power. We don't have free will. But the reason why the world is so corrupt today, and the laws are the way they are, and the holidays are the way they are, and actions are the way they are, and people can be a cat, a dog, a man, a woman, kids can be whatever they want. The reason why that is today is because free will has been taught, right? You can get the precept that you're trying to find, and I want you to read another precept as well. If you got anything to say to your Shia, you know what I'm saying, go ahead and say your spiel.
Khan, I got a precept. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 40, right? And verse number 13. And it said, have you brought that out?
Nah, go ahead.
Isaiah 40 and 13, it said, who hath directed the Spirit of the Lord, or being his counselor hath taught him, right? So nobody on earth and that's ever lived before or after me will ever be on the same level as the Most High God, right? So when it comes to understanding the term free will, a lot of people just don't understand that the Most High God's knowledge is above our knowledge, which means that all the precepts and scriptures that the brothers have brought out, you know, are just straight facts that we don't control the narrative. You know what I'm saying? We never have and we never will, right? Because just like an example, right? I'm gonna go back to the book of Second Esdras, and I want to read Second Esdras chapter 5 verse 35 real quick. 36, Salakia. And he said unto me, number me the things that are not yet come, gather me together the dross that are scattered abroad, make me the flowers green again that are withered, open me the places that are closed, and bring me forth the winds that in them are shut up. Shew me the image of a voice, and then what I will declare to thee the thing that thou laborest to know. So this is the Most High God talking to Ezra's, right? And Ezra's is trying to know like how much the Most High God loves him. He wants to know the judgment, right? And the Lord said, if you can do these things, then I'll tell you what you want to know. But this is what Ezra responded. He said, and I said, O Lord, thou bearest rule. Who may know these things? But he that hath not his dwelling with men, right? As for me, I am unwise. How may I then speak of these things whereof thou askest me? So even in the sense of understanding, I know you're going to go to the precept, so I'm not going to elaborate on it. But what I'm going to say is that we don't even understand the things that the Most High God has planned out for our lives, let alone can we understand the things that he has planned out for his judgment. So how much more with that understanding can we think that we have free will? If we can't even understand the simple things, then how in the world can we understand the plan that the Father has for our lives? Why do we think we get this liberty to do whatever we want to do, that we have a freedom to do so? But I yield.
Man, it's crazy because he said he set forth everything underneath the heavens for men to understand, right? And we can barely understand everything that's underneath the heaven. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if you can't even master what's underneath the heaven, what makes you think you can master what's above the heavens? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it's impossible to even fathom, like when he goes into that, a man can't even fathom the stuff that he has planned for us, right? And how the kingdom is going to look and stuff like that. A man can't even think about the things that's going to be there, right? And when you think about that, our mind and our imaginations are pretty strong, man. Especially going back to when we were toddlers and little kids, right? We can imagine some pretty wild stuff. And if we can't even imagine what he got planned for us, that's letting you know right off rip that our knowledge compared to the Most High is worth nothing. But I wanted to get this one example, just to piggyback on what Austin had said earlier with Cain and Abel, man, because we see that through the scriptures even further on in our lineage, right? With the Levitical priesthood. It's the book of Leviticus chapter 10 and verse number 1. And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer and put fire therein and put incense thereon and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he commanded them not, right? And there went out fire from the Lord and devoured them, and they died before the Lord, right? So here we see that even Nadab and Abihu, right, when it came to offering up sacrifices to the Most High God, right, which is supposed to be a good thing, right? And a lot of people would think, well, if I'm offering something to the Most High God, he should take it regardless. He should take what I offer and be happy with it. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter what it is, right? But we see that even with our offerings, like Azrael was saying, right, they come with a standard, right, and they can either be accepted or not accepted. And in this case, just like Cain, right, it was not accepted. Why? Because they offered strange fire. We don't know exactly what this fire was that they offered up, but it said strange because when you think of the word strange, right, it's something that's not common. When you think of the word strange, it's something that's far off, something that you don't know, right? You know, like if a stranger, right? If you call somebody a stranger, it's because you have no familiarity with them, right? So you're offering fire or sacrifices that has no familiarity with the Most High God, right? That he commanded them not, which means he commanded them to offer up certain fires. But if you're going to offer up the wrong fire, strange fire, right, it's going to make the Most High God mad, right? Because once he set forth something in front of us, that's what it is. There's no way around it, right? You have no choice. Either you do it or you die. And that's what happened. They didn't do it. And what verse number 2 say? And there went out fire from the Lord and devoured them, and they died before the Lord, right?
You know what I'm saying? And that's off rip what we've been saying. The Most High God has free will. We have commandments. We get told what to do. He does what he want to do. You know what I'm saying? For example, also, I know we had mentioned earlier about the crooked paths and a door being open and success and blah, blah, blah. Guess what? A lot of people have been put in power even today, or a level of influence, and they want to give it up. I didn't ask for that. And they'll tell people, hey, look, you know what I'm saying? You can go somewhere else with that. I don't need all that. And it's nothing new under the sun. These are the same spirits that was in the earth before. Right? When Mordecai first came to Esther in the book of Esther, Esther was scared. She didn't want that power. She didn't want that influence. She didn't want that authority. She was scared. You know what I'm saying? But Mordecai had to tell her, hey, look, it might be of the Most High God's will while you're in the position that you are, and you have a duty to your nation. Same thing with Moses in Numbers 11. Moses said, hey, look, if you deal with me, please kill me. I can't do this. But the Most High God said, I'm the one that told you you can do it. So, no, I'm not going to kill you. It's not of your will. It's of my will, right? But
you can also bring out the precept that you brought out last night, Austin, Acts 5:39. Because if it be of the will, Acts 5, brother Azrael, you know what I'm saying? If you bring out the book of Acts, chapter 5 and verse 39, you know what I'm saying? It tells you if it be of the will of God, man, it cannot be overthrown. You know what I'm saying? And everything that's happening is the will of God, man. So whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. Whatever's gonna be is gonna be. That's one of the reasons why we have faith in, hey man, if I'm supposed to die tomorrow, if I die tomorrow, I was supposed to die tomorrow, right? If we go out on the street corners, right, and teach and we get shot up at and one of us catch a bullet, that was supposed to happen. You know what I'm saying? So we don't put our fear in what man can do unto us, because we have that understanding of everything is the Most High God's will, right? And if it be of God, it cannot be overthrown. So if it wasn't meant for me to go out here and die, I'm not going to be afraid of me dying. But if it was meant for me to die, so be it. You know what I'm saying? At least I went out on my shield. I went out teaching the gospel, right?
Right. And the thing about it is, if it's of God, it can't be overthrown. That could go for a blessing or a curse. You know what I'm saying? When they got to that Red Sea, they if it be of God, it can't be overthrown. So guess what? It's of God, and He gonna walk you through that Red Sea. And that Red Sea can come in many different ways. You know what I'm saying? It could come in fear of death. It could come in fear of losing a job. It could come in fear of losing a family. But guess what? If it be of God, it can't be overthrown. So if it is overthrown, that's of God too. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, you know, you can't overthrow God's will, because it's His free will to do what He want to do with, right? We just got to play out and live out whatever He willed for our life, because it's not of Him that willeth or of Him that runneth. You can't run away from this. You can't run away from your purpose according to God, right? The Bible says what? It says all things work for the good of them that love the Lord according to His plan, I think, or purpose. Paraphrasing, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't finish that out, but it's according to who He calls, right? For that purpose, right? But I wanted to move on. The reason why the earth is so wicked today, the hands given over to the wicked, is because of this. 2 Maccabees 7:16, right? You don't have to get it. I'll just read it real quick. Huh?
You said you need it. I can read it for you if you need it.
That's cool.
All right, this is the book of 2 Maccabees 7, and you said 16, right? It said, then looked he unto the king and said, thou hast power over men, thou art corruptible.
Right. So right there, he's saying, look, you might be the president, you might be a senator, you might be a mayor, you might make the laws, you might be a king, you might be a pharaoh, you might be a ruler, you have power over the people, right? The Most High God, he separated the nations and put a ruler over every nation. So there might be people that have power over people. You know what I'm saying? You might think that you got free will, right? Keep reading.
Thou doest what thou wilt.
You do what you want to do. You think you got free will. You know what I'm saying? You think that there's no consequence. You think that you're not making choices and decisions. You think that you just can do what you want and there's no punishment or there's no reward, right? And the reward can be something good or bad, right? Keep reading.
Yet think not that our nation is forsaken of God.
Right. So even though he's saying, look, you might think you have free will, he's saying, guess what? God is still real. So guess what? Though it tarry, wait for it, because it's going to come, as Ezekiel tells us. You know, a lot of these wicked people, the ungodly in Wisdom of Solomon, they don't think judgment is coming. They think life is a vapor. They think they're a mist. They think they're here today and gone tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? But we know that, hey, look, judgment comes around like a ring, like Ezra says. We know that there's no slackness of the first or the last. All right. But moving on, let's get to Isaiah 45:7. And we love showing people this too, because a lot of people, when we was in the world too, we didn't know this. Right? We were always taught to think man, we're always fighting against Satan. We're fighting against Satan. A random baby dies, it's because of Satan. You know what I'm saying? Or a tragedy happens, it's because of Satan. But the Bible don't teach that, right?
The Bible teaches that Satan works for God. But this is Isaiah chapter 45 and verse number 7. I form the light. This is the Most High God speaking, by the way. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things.
Right. So it's not man that's terribly evil, right? And they doing all their evil acts. It's not man doing all these blessings, right? It's the Most High God that's doing it through man. The Most High God saying stuff through men, right? In the book of Hebrews, he tells us in saltary times or in time past, guess what? He spoke by the mouth of his prophets. That's why we have the Bible today. Because of the seers, the prophets, the apostles that the Most High God spoke to, that Christ taught. That's how the word got out. But it was through men, but ultimately it was of the Most High God's will. All right. Let's go to the infamous. We've been waiting for it all night. Proverbs 20 and 24.
Just the book of Proverbs, chapter 20, and verse number 24.
Right. So if anybody asks you, man, is there free will? You can just go straight to here. Right. They might try to philosophize after you read it, but hey, they already been cut. And everybody in the conversation, right? Everybody in the conversation knows, hey, look, this just proves that there's no free will.
Ain't no way around it. You
know
that song, Shay?
No, I don't know that song, God.
Ain't no way around it. Is that Future?
I'm not sure. That was a 2013, 2012 banger though.
That's Future.
Oh nah. I don't know that song. Man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way?
So guess what? We always say it. You can plan out your day, say I'm gonna drive here, then I'm gonna go to the grocery store, then I'm gonna go here. But you didn't see that car accident that was gonna happen. You didn't see you running out of gas on the interstate. You didn't see that emergency happening back at home. You gotta go and see if somebody's okay. Because guess what? Man's goings are of the Lord. You didn't think that you was gonna have to help out that homeless brother across the street, right? You didn't think that you was going to you don't know what you're going to do during your day. You can plan it out, but at the end of the day, we don't understand our own way. You know what I'm saying? But
the classic.
Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 15 and 8. Wisdom of Solomon 15 and 8. And I know let's just get this real quick.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 15th chapter and the 8th verse. And it reads, and employing his labors lewdly, he maketh a vain god of the same clay, even he which a little before was made of the earth himself, and within a little while after returneth to the same. Out when his life which was lent him shall be demanded. Do I need to read that again?
That was a beautiful reading, but I think that's the wrong one.
But you can use this too, though. Break it if you think about it like this. Like it says, employing his labors lewdly, he maketh the
tight in and up.
It was basically saying like he maketh the vain god of the same clay, even he which a little before was made of the earth himself, and within a little while after returneth to the same. Out when his life which was lent to him shall be demanded. So this is the Lord basically demanding someone's life. You know what I'm saying? It was basically lent to him. You can't necessarily do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? If something is lent to you because it's not yours. You know what I'm saying? That's just like having a rental car. Yeah, you can drive it to where you want to go, but at the same time, you can't go put spinners on it. You can't go customize the car because the car is not yours. The car belongs to the rightful owner. Just like this life. We can't do what we want to do in this life because this life is rented. We rent this life from the Most High. These are our physical bodies that we pay rent for. You know what I'm saying? Each and every day we in the word, we fast, we pray. That's how we pay our rent. You know what I'm saying? By sowing those good fruits, right? In the spirit and in the truth. So even in this sense, Wisdom of Solomon 15:8 is still a good precept to use for this lesson, because when you think about the life that was lent, hey, anytime you lend something to somebody, that's not you saying it's yours, you can do whatever. Because if it was yours, it wouldn't be a lend. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be a lend. Because how would the Most High demand our lives back if it was our lives? It's not ours, it's the Most High's. So he does everything he wants with us.
That's like driving the leased vehicle, man. You know what I'm saying? You might think it's yours, but it's not.
And you know, it's crazy because it's like, man, we were made of that clay, and we're gonna take that same clay and try to create something ourselves.
Right.
Oh, vanity.
This was another precept, man.
But check this out though. Hey, stay right there. Oh, Salaki, I was gonna say stay right there, but I wanted Wisdom of Solomon 15:7.
Can I get this precept real quick for to piggyback on what Foster read? This is Sirach 17 and verse number 1, right? It's mighty, man, because it says the Lord created man of the earth and turned him into it again, right? No way around it, bruh. You can't control what you were made out of, and you can't control how you gonna be turned back into it, right? These are all things that the Lord controls. But you said Wisdom of Solomon what?
15:7. I'm here. I'm here. It says Wisdom of Solomon 15:7. For the potter tempering soft earth.
Right. So first and foremost, that potter we know is the Most High God. Well, really, the Most High God gave that power to Christ. In Colossians, I want to say Colossians 1:15, something like that. But Colossians tells us that the Most High God, the first creature that was created was Christ, and he gave authority to Christ to create all, right? So we can see this potter as being Christ, right? Because the king don't got to do nothing. He got servants for that. And Christ is one of the servants, right? So the potter, Christ, tempering soft earth, right? Keep reading. Baba Kashaf.
Fashioneth every vessel with much labor for our service.
Right. So, hey, look, he took his time making these vessels, right? Keep reading.
Yea, of the same clay he maketh both the vessels that serve for clean uses, and likewise also all such as serve to the contrary.
Right. So contrary to clean is dirty uses, right? But he took his time to make both. So that means he knew what he was doing, right? He labored because he saw the purpose of each thing. So who are we to tell him, nah, I don't think that's supposed to be like that. Nah, I don't agree with that. Nah, that don't sit right with my heart. He took his time to make these vessels, one for clean uses and one for dirty uses, right? We see people make porcelain toilets. That toilet is for dirty uses. You don't drink out of a toilet, you drink out of a glass, right? And the people take their time to make glasses, right? And you don't use the bathroom in the glass. So just like that, Christ said, I took my time to make Pharaoh evil. I sculpted this character out. I picked him out myself. I did the casting call. This is the guy I want to be evil. You can't say, but Pharaoh doesn't deserve it. He treated Moses well. You can't say that, right? Keep reading.
Khan. But what is the use of either sort? The potter himself is the judge.
So guess what? Even when it comes to nations, you can't say, well, why is this nation being treated different from this nation? Why is this nation chosen? Brother, we're all chosen. You know how many times we hear that? And it's only from our people. You know how many times we hear that we're all chosen? What's the point of being chosen if we're all chosen, right? You got to ask yourself, why are these things so? Because the Most High God himself is the judge. He made it that way. He made it that way. That's why our body needs water, because he made it that way. That's why the ocean stops at the sand, because he made it that way. You know what I'm saying? He made these things a certain way, and he labored to have them that way. He made this nation evil for a reason. He made this nation righteous and have good morals for a reason. He cursed this nation for a reason. And why? hey, it's up to him. He the judge. He's the one with free will, not us. We have commandments. He has free will, right?
Con, can I get a precept to match with that?
Con.
This is the book of, I don't, did you bring this out? Proverbs 16:4?
Nah, I didn't.
Con, this is just going in a little bit to that same thing. Right? He made the clean vessels and the unclean vessels, right? And took his time with it. It says Proverbs 16:4, right? The Lord had made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. So if you don't believe it when people say that the Most High doesn't make evil, you just heard it in Wisdom of Solomon 15. You just heard it in Proverbs 16. Well, you heard it in Isaiah 45:7. So what else do you need? Well, let's go to another one. Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse number 39. Right? We just confirming that the Lord does these things, right? It says right here, see now that even I, am he, and there is no God with me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. So right earlier when the Ak was talking about, hey, look, some people may think they can just heal themselves because they believe that they speak things over their life, right? And we went in the lesson on that Wednesday talking about the power of the tongue. We're a firm believer in faith, and we're a firm believer that, hey, look, if you say something, you know what I'm saying, and you fast and pray and believe, hey, if it be the Lord's will, it can happen. You know what I'm saying? But just because you do those things doesn't mean that you're going to get what you're praying for. Because at the end of the day, it's the Lord's will that will be done, not our own. So if you haven't believed it when the Ak brought out Isaiah 45, if you didn't hear it earlier when the Ak was talking about, hey, people just think they can say things and be healed, but that's not it, right? Go back to Deuteronomy 32 and 39. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. This is the Most High God talking. He's the healer. He's the killer. He's the person who wounds people. He's the person who makes wicked and righteousness. So there is no such thing as free will as we know it, because the Lord literally makes everything. Like the brothers were saying, if you go get shot at camp teaching the word, that was supposed to happen because the Lord ordained that, right? If something happens to you, the Lord ordained that to happen to you. It could be for a multitude of different reasons, but it's not free will because the Lord ordained that to happen. But I yield.
Con, I wanted to bring this out real quick in Romans chapter 9, right? I'll start at verse number
21.
20.
Con.
I'll start at 20. I don't know why I just clicked that. Well, I started verse 20, right? Nay, but oh man, who art thou that repliest against God? Who are you? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, why hast thou made me thus? Right? Can we say to him, why have we why'd you make us like this? Right? This even goes into the big controversy of what's going on today with the whole case of abortion, right? Can you say to God, why did you make me pregnant? I didn't want to be pregnant, right? And you think you got free will to abort, right? No, what you're doing is murder, right? And there's a consequence for that, like we talked about, right? And death is waiting for you. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not a choice. It's not a choice whether or not you're supposed to bring that life into this earth, right? There's no choice. So if you take that life away, right, it's not your free will. It's not your American right. It's called murder, right? You know what I'm saying? You was about to say something?
I was gonna say I'm glad you brought that up just to make this this live relevant to today's world, because literally the whole world is in an uproar because states have the power to cancel abortions. You know what I'm saying? I literally was at the gas station today filling up, and there was a worker that was taking out the trash, and he was like, bruh, it's really crazy because, some people out here really want their children, bruh, but he's not in the truth or nothing, but, he's just a brother that's working a job. He said, some people out here really want their children, and me, bruh, I went and got this job. The only reason why I got this job, bruh, is because I had a baby on the way, and I come to find out my baby mom gonna get an abortion, bro. Like I told her, I was like, man, I got the job. You know what I'm saying? I want to have this kid. And I was like, man, that's terrible that we think we have free will to where we can just take away life. We could take away from a man's seed, because you think you have free will. And that's why it says, thou corruptible king, you do what you will. And you push that message out, right? Even Jay-Z pushed that message out. He said, Alexander Crawley taught me something. He said, do as thou wilt. And that's what I do. And that's how I become so successful. And people take that and multiply that. And now we're living in the day of Me Too. We're living in the day of gender fluidity. We're living in the day of a whole bunch of stuff that is all I do what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? I laid down, I made that choice. But guess what? I didn't ask for a baby. So guess what? I can get rid of that baby because I do what I want to do.
Because I should be able to do what I want with my body.
Right. And people think that they can control their life and that they know what's best for their life. Maybe God is saying you need that child in your life. You need to slow down. But our people, they say, no, I need to keep turning up. I'm not ready yet. I don't got the money. I don't got the house. I don't got the support I need. Maybe God is doing that so you can grow up. So you can be something better, maybe. But you taking that away from God because you're opening your own doors. You're closing your own doors. But the Most High God said you're making choices and decisions, not your free will. You're going to get judged. Though it tarries, you know what I'm saying? And that's
not only that, man. I tell people all the time, right? Not only do we realize that it's not about your body, right? Because that's not your body that you're killing. That's somebody else's body. Not only do we realize that on a logical aspect, right? But we also realize, hey, look, brother Captain Taz, he brought out a mighty point. People say, oh, because you say you're pro-life and you're for abortion, or you're not for the women's rights. I am for women's rights. I'm for all women's rights, even the women that's in the womb, right? Because a woman in the womb should have rights too, right? What about them? You know what I'm saying? And people want to cancel their rights out, but now you're against your own movement, right? Because you're taking those women that's in the woman of the womb, right? You're taking her rights away. You know what I'm saying? But if I can finish out these couple scriptures right here also, because they go right into it, right? It says, verse 21, has not the potter power over the clay? And we know who the potter is. It's the Most High God. Has not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? Like the brother Yeshaya was saying, right? He can make a vessel unto honor and a vessel unto dishonor. And there's nothing you can do about it. Just like we talked about Call of Duty, right? It doesn't matter what you do. You cannot kill your teammate, right? You know what I'm saying? You can't make somebody that he made a vessel of honor into dishonor, right? As much as people say that Solomon was wicked, this, that, and the third, the Most High God looks at Solomon as you know what I'm saying? Yes, he had his flaws, but the Most High God honors Solomon a lot of things, right? Well, and it says one has come that's greater than Solomon, right?
Right. And so I wanted to make a point on what you just said, because earlier in Romans 9, it says it's not of him that willeth or runneth away. So even if Solomon ran away from the truth by doing stuff he wasn't supposed to do, guess what? The Most High God said, but of the mercy of that God showeth the person. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so when we go back to the prayer or the prophecy that was given to David, saying, guess what? You're going to have a son, and I'm going to always show him mercy. I will correct him, but I will always show him mercy. And we see that coming to pass with Solomon.
Even with David, because when we see David, right, people say, well, David was, people in the Christian church be tearing David up. They be saying, well, David was a murderer. You know what I'm saying? He killed Goliath. I've actually heard somebody say that David was a murderer because he killed Goliath, bro.
Somebody said that the other day. I seen a meme that said, because they'd be like, Noah was a drunk, and so was this, and so was that. They literally said Jacob was a cheater. Now they could have meant by cheating to get his birthright, but the person that posted it was like, they meant that Jacob cheated on his wife to get another wife.
And Christians will tell you blatantly that Jacob was a deceiver. You know what I'm saying? But Jacob wasn't a deceiver. They just understood that the will of God had to come to pass regardless.
And right? Jacob was really just honoring his mother because his mom told him what to do.
And check this out. And check this out, right? If you want to think about it, we know that the will of God has to come to pass, right? So it better it that way rather than giving the birthright to Esau, and now Esau has to die immediately now, bruh, because that's the only way that the birthright can be handed back to his brother is if he died, right? So he really spared Esau's life,
prolonged
at the end of the day, right? But reading on, right? Verse number 22. What if God willing, because it's all about God's will. What if God willing to show his wrath? Right. What if God willing to show his wrath and to make his power known? What if God willing to make a point, endure with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction, and he that might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercies, right? Which he had afore prepared unto glory, right? Even where's the pretty much saying, what if he willing to show his wrath waited a long time to destroy the wicked, right? Because it's all about his simulation, right? It's all about his game. This is his game of Call of Duty, not ours, right? We can't kill our teammates, right? We can only kill the bad guy, right? And there's nothing we can do about it.
Right. You go to Isaiah 64 and 8.
Isaiah 64 and what?
64 and 8.
It's a mighty precept.
And Yeshaya, you got a precept?
No, I said that's a mighty precept.
Oh.
Isaiah 64 and 8. But now, O Lord, thou art our Father, we are the clay, and thou art our potter, and we are the work of thy hand.
Right. We're formed to do and to be whatever he desires us to be, not what we want to be. Right. A lot of people always say, can a pot tell you that he doesn't want to be a pot no more? I want to be a plate. The pot don't do that. The clay don't speak back to the potter, right? You just are what he makes you.
And that's a mighty precept, because just saying that alone lets you know that whoever's saying this is submitting to the will of God. You know what I'm saying? They stop fighting against God, right? Who can muster up against God?
Right. And all of us deep inside our flesh wants to fight against the Most High God. Even Christ. That's why Christ was praying and sweating blood and said, please let this cup pass from me. But at the end of the day, he said, let thy will be done. Not my will, but let thy will be done.
It's just easier to just let the will of God happen rather than to fight it, right? And I'll give an example, like when I'm at work, right? I work at a furniture store, and I have a showroom designer, right? And it's her job to place the furniture on the showroom floor. But every now and then we'll get warehouse workers, we'll get salespeople, right, that want to tell her how to do her job. And it always results in backlash, arguments, and getting the owners involved, right? And I tell people all the time, bro, hey, look, bro, I understand that you don't understand why she's putting this piece with this piece. And I understand that you think that this piece will go better with this piece. But I'm letting you know right now, your life and your job will be a whole lot easier if you just let her do her job and put the pieces where she wants to put them. Because that's her job, right? It's the Most High God's job to orchestrate all of this, right? So it would make your life easier if you just let it happen and you do like what verse 8 say, right? You just submit to the will of God and say, you're our Father, right? We're the clay, you're the potter, do what you want. Your life will be a whole lot more simpler. And coming into this truth, that's why we're content with where we're at in life, right? It doesn't matter if you're struggling, quote unquote struggling, right? If you're rich or if you're not rich. Because at the end of the day, man, it's like, man, this life is not my own, right? I'm not orchestrating my life, right? As long as I got a house over my head, food for my family, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Anything else doesn't matter. Anything else is vanity at that point, right? That's why we come into this truth and be so content with what we have, and we can just focus on spreading the gospel, bro. And there's no itch in the back of us that's what's the word I'm looking for? That we feel incomplete. Like when you're in the world, man, you just feel incomplete, and you felt like you haven't arrived, you haven't made it yet, because you got all these worldly goals, right? When you come into this truth and you let all that go and you say, hey man, if it's the Lord's will to make me rich, I'm gonna be rich. You know what I'm saying? If it's the Lord's will to have me where I'm at right now, It is what it is, man. And I'm gonna let go, and I'm gonna be at peace with that. You know what I'm saying? It's just a whole lot more peaceful when you just let go and just let God. Let go and let God. It's cliche like the Christian church like to say, but it's a simple recipe.
Hey, it's not even cliche, man. Hey, that's a mighty song though. It'd be like, as soon as I stop worrying, worrying how the story ends.
Oh, that's deep.
I let go and I let God. Hey, let God have His way. That's when things start happening. Hey, look,
bruh,
that's a mighty song, bro.
Whenever they used to sing that in church too, everybody know they get a little teary eyed, bro. You know what I'm saying,
bro? That's a mighty song though, bro, because that song in itself is telling you, hey, there's no free will. Hey, write it out. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
let go and let God.
So to end this real quick, Yeshaya, can you pull up? Can you got a sword with you real quick?
Yeah.
Can you get Acts 5:39? Ashton, can you go to Google, type in Supreme abortion ruling?
Hey, look, we're going to have a sharp rebuke for the brothers who keep using Babylonian names when we clearly got our names on the screen.
Yeah, he said mine.
Oh, you said mine earlier, too.
My bad.
That's okay.
Oh.
Supreme what?
Hey, we might as well just put our real names on here. Supreme Court abortion ruling. All right. Scroll all the way down till you see NBC. So it's madness because you got people protesting now. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I got the brother to have. No, it was the first one. Scroll up. NBC.
My body, my choice.
Right. It's madness, bro. But that's why I got the to pull out Acts 5:39. I just want you to read the first paragraph. You know what I'm saying?
Right here?
Right there. Con.
Let me move this over a little bit. All right. This is NBCnews.com. Washington.
Salaki, I went to NBC because I know CNN be folly. They be very tainted toward the Democrats, and I know Fox be tainted and they be folly be to the whatchamacallit. But NBC, I want to say to me, it's a neutral site. So that's why I went here.
NBCnews.com in Washington today. The Supreme Court on Friday, which is today, overturned the landmark Roe versus Wade, ruling that guaranteed a constitutional right to abortion.
Stop right there. I just want everybody to give a little clap because,
hey, what Deacon say? What Deacon Hakai say? Hey, give a hand clap to the Most High, man.
Hey,
give a hand clap to the Most High, man.
Come on, man. That's right.
I was watching Marcus Rogers, man. He said, it's crazy because this just shows us that we got a little bit more to go because America's showing that we're not completely controlled by the beast right now, man. You know what I'm saying? We standing up for stuff like this.
Right. Hey, but ultimately, I feel like it's a deeper cause. I feel like, they feel like they're going extinct and they just want to lessen the chances of that happening. But hey, that's the conversation for another day. But keep reading from that comma.
A monumentous break from a half century of rulings on one of the nation's most contentious issues. About half the states have already indicated they would move to ban this procedure.
Right. So check this out. It says half a century that this was in place, right? Keep reading the second paragraph.
The court ruled 6-3 to uphold Mississippi.
Right. So they won by a landslide.
Abortion ban being challenged in the case, and 5-4 to overturn Roe. In the majority opinion, Justice Samuel Alito wrote that the court's decision in Roe sparked a national controversy that has embittered our political culture for a half a century.
Hey, so we see this is prophecy too, because a kingdom divided can't stand. And we already see that people are rioting. They haven't rioted yet, but people are protesting, trying to ban this. You got the Senate against the House against the Senate. You got the Democrats against the Republicans. You got you know, everything is being split in two. But I wanted to bring this out because even though it went on for half a century, you know what I'm saying? The Most High God said, though it tarry, though it wait. This is a glimpse of peace. This is a glimpse of the kingdom, right? Though the kingdom tarry, guess what? It's still coming. And right,
And
he
it's
showed that.
crazy. It's crazy that Slucky, not to cut you off, but it's crazy that we see that America in itself, when it stands up for some sort of righteousness, we see the division that it brings, right? And it's
Right,
crazy because Christ, that's just one thing of righteousness that is bringing. Christ is bringing back a whole slew of righteousness. So
right,
imagine the division that's gonna come, right? The
right,
controversy, the tumult. You know what I'm
right. So
saying?
while you said that right now, go to Proverbs 28 and 4 real quick. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll go to Acts 5 and 39. Proverbs 28 and 4. Because that's a mighty point. The earth is given to the hands of the wicked, and not a wicked ruling, the people is in an uproar. The people are always against the laws of God. If it's in this Bible, they do not like it. They don't want it. Right?
It's crazy because it's like, are people walking around with signs that say "kill the babies" and "f them kids"? Because it's like, bruh, that's literally what you're saying.
Michael Jordan style, man.
I think
Hey, MJ.
I think some people do walk around with signs that say F them kids.
Nah, no cap though. Hey, look, Michael Jordan, all he had to do was miss one shot to give like 1,000 kids a free pair of J's. That's all he had to do.
No, Proverbs 28 and 4. Come on.
Proverbs 28 and 4. They that forsake the law praise the wicked, but such as keep the law contend with them. We're contending right now.
Right? It's gonna always be, you know what I'm saying, a riffraff, but the Most High God is gonna make sure that the righteous that are contending always get the last say, right? So they can try to make their bans, they can try to protest, hey, but the rulings stand, and they're gonna have to do something about that. And if they do something about that, that brings about prophecy, and we all for that. But ultimately, Brother Yeshaya, can you read Acts 5 and 39 so we can close out?
Con, this is the book of Acts, chapter 5, and verse number 39. It says, "But if it be of God, ye cannot overthrow it, lest haply ye be found even to fight against God."
Hey, they banning against God, they protesting against God, they struggling and they're fighting against God, but it cannot be overthrown. You know what I'm saying? We brought that out last night.
Killing them babies, man. It's crazy, bro.
People
are really fighting for that.
They finna go ahead and try to build up another Tower of Babel because they like, hey, look, we finna war against God, man. Ain't no way in the world he finna take abortion from us. Next thing you know, he gonna be putting all these righteous things in act, and next thing you know, we're gonna lose out on our fun.
Man, let me show y'all a post I seen today, bro. This is wild. Watch this.
Satan know what he had but a short time.
Right.
Let me show you this real quick,
now, they
bro.
Yeshaya, they acting right now like the demons when they saw Christ. Are you come to torment us before our time? Let us keep doing what we want to do. We want to keep having abortions. We want to keep living in folly. We don't want to have to live up to our consequences. Hey, look, send us over there. Send us to them pigs. Send us to our own destruction, please.
Hey, look, that's the truth, though. It's just like, bruh, people just don't understand, like, when it comes to understanding the Most High God, and when it comes to understanding how stupid they look advocating for wickedness, like y'all said, bro, it's really simple. They're literally advocating for the death of children. Those should be people who should be put on what is they called, those sex offender style pages, man.
Yeah,
hey, look, if you think, yeah, they need to be on some type of watch list because they support killing children. They support it wholeheartedly.
You're not right in the mind if you came to the conclusion that you can kill a child. And a lot of them will go to as far as I've seen interviews. A lot of them will go as far as to say they support killing a baby after it's born, as long as it's not 11 months or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And I know each state is different, but I believe you got like 60 days to turn your child in and say that you're not fit to be a parent. You know what I'm saying? Legally. But a lot of people are saying within those 60 days, they would support being able to kill the child. You know what I'm saying? And that's wickedness. People literally, they're going too far. They're going as far as to saying, hey, look, until they can think on their own, it's not a life. Until you can think on your own and care for yourself, it's not a life.
Hey, Ock having one of them moments again. I was looking for this precept. Now I'm starting to question it even in precept.
Now I was looking for a post, man, and to be honest, bro, I don't know. She might have blocked me, bro. I don't know. After she saw I was supporting the no abortion thing, bro, but she had made a post on her page. I didn't comment or anything, man, but she had made a post on her page, screenshotting the verdict, right? And she literally commented and said, "I'm sick to my stomach, right? This is sick. This is sickening." It's crazy when killing innocent babies killing not wanting to kill innocent babies is sick.
Right. And
right?
my thing is this. My thing is, you come into that conclusion. Yes, there's anomalies, but ultimately it's God's will. And if you believe in God, you gotta just say, even if I get raped, that baby, God formed that baby. Even if something bad, I guess, and a lot of people saying, well, there's people that's put in low positions and poverty and they can't provide. But 9 times out of 10, those aren't the people getting abortions. 9 times out of 10, the people getting abortions are the people with a lot of money, a lot of freedom, a lot of upper class people, a lot of people that have been taught they can do what they want to. But the people that's in poverty, guess what? They have high morals. That's why they have so many kids. They don't believe in abortions, right? So a lot of times these people just making up excuses and leaning onto their own understanding. And like the Bible says, is there unrighteousness with God? Why has God made these things? He himself is the judge, right? We can't decide what's good and what's evil. He took his time to make sure that that life was going to be planted in your body from the beginning. That's how precise he was.
And you might have an argument when it comes to like sexual assault victims, right? Because we do see in the Bible from the sexual assault victims, if they become pregnant, right, they give birth and whatnot, you know what I'm saying, that the babies are casted out and they're counted as bastards, and they casted out of the congregation. Nonetheless, the babies they're still not killed, right? They might be sent away packing, right, but they're still not killed, right? But you might have a argument with that one, with sexual assault, as we can see that, you know what I'm saying, it was something that wasn't even acceptable within our community as well. But still, them babies wasn't even killed. Even in that situation, they were just casted out of the congregation.
But brothers can make closing statements if y'all want.
This is gonna be my first closing statement. Go ahead, brother Dunn. I was just messing.
No, I was gonna say, man, it's a mighty lesson, man, to show that, hey, look, man, it doesn't matter what our will is or what we run, right? And when it says that, it's just really just talking about your actions. There's nothing that you can do, nothing that you can muster it up to change the will of God, man. And like the brother said, if it be of God, you cannot overthrow it, as it shows on the screen, man. It's a mighty lesson, man, to show that, hey, look, free will is just a figment of imagination. And again, Christian dogma, man. I'm Brother Donal, and Shabbat Shalom.
I just want to say that definitely a mighty lesson, man. Free will definitely ain't free. You think you're doing something, hey, you're gonna pay for it in the end. Though a sense against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore are the hearts of sons of man, and fully setting them to do evil. That's Ecclesiastes 8:11. So anytime you think you got free will and you going off, just remember that though it tarry, hey, wait for it, because it's gonna come. You know, repent though. And I'm brother Yeshaya, I'm gonna say Shabbat Shalom as well. Kala.
And you know, a lot of people that's doing their own thing, they covering with a covering that's not of the Most High God, and they adding sin to sin. But I want you guys, if you don't get anything else from this lesson, you know what I'm saying, it is a fact on this Factual Friday that you don't have free will, and it is a fact that abortion is a sin, and it is a fact that the Most High God has free will, and we have commandments. So with that, Brother Azrael, we're the hopeful elect. Shabbat Shalom to all those that are celebrating the Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. Hope you guys have a peaceful night, peaceful day, and I hope you were edified. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.